Hey everybody, it's Jeremy Bradley here, and it's time for the BuffRadio.com Entertainment Wrap-Up presented by Buff Boy Brewing Company.
JB's Entertainment Wrap-Up.
Brought to you by BuffBoyBrewing.com. For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you'll surely feel naughty when you swallow their coffee. Shop Buff Boy Brewing's premium collections of coffee and tea at BuffBoyBrewing.com. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough buff. Here's what's making news this May 22nd. It was the end of an era last night on CBS. What a big week for finales, right? Wednesday night had the 50th Survivor, and Jeff Probst giving that major spoiler halfway through the show. And then across the country in New York, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert took its final bow on Thursday after the network offed the show following controversial remarks about Donald Trump. Now, I gotta say, I was at both events. You know, I live in Los Angeles, but we flew overnight. My husband and I flew overnight to New York, and it was an amazing show. And I think it was probably one of the longest tapings of the show. Now, for the actual runtime, the extended Late Show ran about an hour and 20 minutes, so 20 longer than usual. And what's interesting is that in a rare move, competing networks, NBC and ABC, ran reruns on their competing late night shows, encouraging viewers to watch CBS Thursday night. So that's pretty, crazy considering its ratings time for TV. The show usually opens with a fake news segment or some kind of comedy bit. Instead, last night's episode started with Colbert sitting on his desk talking to the studio audience and viewers at home. He calls the show, quote, "the joy machine, because I do this many shows, it has to be a machine. But the thing is, if you choose to do it with joy, it doesn't hurt as much when your fingers get caught in the gears, and I cannot adequately explain to you what the people who work here have done for each other and how much we mean to each other," end quote. The monologue then happened as usual, but with a twist. Actually, two twists. Regular viewers of the show noticed Colbert had absolutely no political commentary that usually dominates his center stage comedy. That was likely done on purpose, right? So that, the show's content would be evergreen to maintain the show's legacy. And then the second twist, celebrity show crashers. Bryan Cranston interrupted the show from the audience and wanted to be Colbert's last guest. He got denied and jokingly stormed out of the studio. Later, Paul Rudd appeared in the upper balcony and offered Colbert 6 bananas as a retirement gift. He also wanted to be Colbert's last guest, but alas, was refused. Tim Meadows sat in front of Rudd and had his own interruption with the hopes of, you guessed it, being the last guest. Now, following the monologue, Colbert's recurring segment, Meanwhile, got one last run. That too was interrupted by celebs. Ryan Reynolds chimed in from the audience and also presented bananas. After that, the secret was revealed. Who would be Colbert's final guest? Well, Colbert had teased that he'd wanted it to be the Pope, and while he started to set that up in a gag that talked about how they didn't provide the right snacks in the dressing room, the Pope bailed. Then Paul McCartney ran out asking to be the final guest. He presented Colbert with a framed pic of the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan stage back in 1964 when appearing on The Ed Sullivan Show. Throughout the episode, though, random green flashes and technical glitches happened, seemingly teasing a final moment. Later, Colbert exited the stage during a pretend commercial break and was met with a green spiral vortex, a wormhole it was later called by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Andy Cohen showed up alongside the hole, quickly got swallowed up by it. I'm not going to make a joke there. Jon Stewart appeared to read a fake statement from Paramount about the wormhole. The two shared spit takes, spitting water in each other's faces. Then Colbert's fellow late-night hosts, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, and John Oliver, showed up near the hole to give Colbert a pep talk. Colbert later appeared back on stage to tell more jokes, but the hole appeared in the ceiling of the theater and destroyed everything and sent the audience and crew running for their lives. It was a bunch of special effects AI, and honestly, here's where I'm going to go off script. I didn't find it very funny. It was kind of weird, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter what we think. It's how he wanted to go out, and that's, you gotta respect it. So we'll see what the critics have to say this morning. And I had a final show. I hosted my radio show for 15 years, and we took about 3 or 4 months of back and forth planning on it, and we eventually ended on center stage at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. So we taped our final show in Nashville. Country music, bluegrass, but it was a top 40 music show. But where else can you go for a more legendary music experience than the Grand Ole Opry? Now, speaking of music, in the final moments of the show, Colbert sang Elvis Costello's Jump Up Honky Tonk demo with Costello himself and the Late Show band leader, Louis Cato, and Colbert's OG band leader, John Batiste, who exited the show when his music career took off. And to close out the show, the house band, along with McCartney and Colbert, sang Hello, Goodbye. The Late Show crew flooded the stage to join in singing for the final moments, and after that, Colbert and McCartney appeared by the power box of the theater hit the switch to kill the power, which then killed the theater entirely, turning it into a musical snow globe. That's a check of your celebrity headlines for this Friday, May 22nd. I'm back next week right here on the BuffRadio.com Entertainment Wrap-Up presented by Buff Boy Brewing Company. Until next time, I'm Jeremy Bradley.